Hello guys, and welcome to our very first episode of the mental wellness series right here on Serenity. Alright, so today being the first time, I thought we should discuss something about myths and misconceptions about mental health. How true are they? Are they false? Is it something we even need to consider, you understand, regarding our mental health? So let's see. So these are myths I saw online, questions people have asked, concerns people have raised about their mental wellness, and I want to bring it down to the Ghanaian context or the African context, how it applies to our day-to-day life right here in Ghana or Africa. Our first myth is mental health issues is all about madness. I think you've heard this before. A lot of people think that when you talk about mental health or when you raise issues of mental health, then it is automatically talking about madness. And I can't blame them much, because here in Ghana, the only significant thing that we can relate to when it comes to mental health is that naked person on the street who is disoriented, looking dirty and all of that. So it is not far-fetched when we want to look at mental health from that point of view. But nonetheless, mental health is not only about going mad or going crazy, but it is about all the things you can do to yourself to put your brain in a safe space, to put your brain in a place where it is not compromised on. A lot of things can go on in our lives which can trigger so many things in us mentally, or even alter our brain chemistry, and then by the time you realize, you are moving away from your normal self. You are not mad, in quotes, but then you know you are not fine. So mental health issues is not all about madness, but the day-to-day activities we can do that will keep us away from being clinically diagnosed with mental illnesses. Right. So second myth is that mental illnesses cannot affect me. A lot of people say that. So when I even raise issues about how particular are you about your mental illness, I go, me, those things don't affect me. Hello. Mental illnesses can affect anybody. Globally, research has shown that 1 out of 4 or 5 people are likely to face mental health challenges sometime in their lives. Secondly, at least once in your entire lifetime, you will encounter something that is going to put you in a mentally unstable place. The thing is, if you are unable to control those issues, the things that confront you at that time in life, you find yourself going into very dark places where you do not want yourself to go to. Because in this life, things will happen to you. You will lose a job, you will lose a loved one, you will lose a parent, you will lose money, you will get broken hearts, and all these things, one way or the other, affect us mentally. Just that you do not show clinical or chronic symptoms, but in one way or the other, your mental health is affected. So mental health can affect anybody. Our third myth is that people who suffer mental health illnesses are weak. No, I disagree. People who suffer mental health conditions are not weak. For us to assume that people who suffer mental health issues are weak will be a little bit unfair and harsh. I think that is why it's difficult for a lot of us to empathize with people when they go into situations, because we think, oh, you can just snap out of it. It's like you tell me that to suffer diabetes or hypertension, it means that you are weak. No, a lot of things have gone into your system that is making it manifest in that condition. So when our brain is also bombarded with a lot of things, we are most likely to go down. Sometimes your brain can, fall short in certain areas, and it is okay. There are a lot of things that expose us to, alterations in our brain chemistry, and all these things can expose us to mental health conditions. It doesn't mean that the person is weak. It means that the person is in a stage of his life where things are not okay and they need help to come out of those situations. But for us to, imply that as weakness will be a bit harsh, and I disagree. Is that children cannot suffer mental health conditions. And personally, I think this is why a lot of we parents have not taken the mental health of our children seriously. So one day you'll be there now, and then your child will pull up a surprise on you by trying to take his or her life. I'm a girl, so forgive me. His or her life, you understand? So children do suffer mental health conditions. Like I would say, research has also shown that half of mental health conditions started from age 14. And in the teen ages, you realize that it comes with a lot of confusion. Transiting from childhood to adulthood can be a bit draining, that if you do not have the care and support you need, you begin to manifest a lot of things that are not healthy for you mentally. A lot of people who suffer social anxiety issues, self-esteem issues, confidence issues started when they were children, because they were exposed to certain activities or certain episodes happening in their lives that damaged them in those areas. So children do suffer mental health conditions also, and we need to take their mental health seriously. So day in, day out, you should be checking up on your child. How are you doing? Is there anything that you need to speak to mommy or daddy about? Is there anything that is bothering you? Push these questions to them, and it will amaze you the things they will come out telling you. So please, take your child's mental health. Now our fifth myth: mental illnesses are spiritual. And I intentionally added this myth because we find ourselves here in Ghana, in Africa, where we do not joke with religious and spiritual things at all. So a lot of people usually go into denial when they are faced with mental health challenges, because they feel like, hey, this cannot happen to me, God is disappointing me, and so on and so forth. We want to blame witches and wizards for almost everything that happens to us, including mental health also. So yes, we cannot write out the role of religion or spiritual issues when it comes to mental health, because a lot of people are coping with religious practices, which is very fine, it is up to them. But we cannot entirely write out the other things also that come to play when it comes to our mental wellness or mental health, because mental health is genetic, mental health is hereditary. So just like if you have a family history of hypertension or diabetes or whatever sickness at all, you are likely to also suffer from it when the situation presents itself. That's the same way that if you have a family history of depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, or whatever mental health condition at all, it is likely that you may get or encounter one or two of those things later in life or sometime in your life if the situation presents itself. If you are faced with a traumatic situation, it could trigger some of these things, especially if you have family histories of them. Then you find yourself moving into phases of depression, psychosis, and other things like that. So yes, it is good to be religious and spiritual, especially as Africans, where we have held on to a lot of beliefs. But let us not write out the other factors of mental health and how it can affect us. It's okay to pray. It's okay to, let your doctrines guide you here one way or the other. But anytime you are faced with a challenging situation, just as you are praying, seek professional help. So yes, we've come to the end of today's episode. I said we'll talk about 5 minutes. There are a lot more out there, and I know there are a lot more playing on your mind also. If you have anything you want to share, you can write that in the comment section. Any questions that you do not understand, we will try as much as possible to attend to them, and if possible, give help when necessary. So I'll see you again in another episode, and do well to share, do well to like, and follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and on our YouTube channel also. Kindly subscribe. So see you again. Make your mental health a priority.
September we met, I can tell by your smile.